Hey guys, it's Falene from Six Blue Warriors again. So today I want to talk about just some tips on applying for SSI. So some things about the process of applying for SSI. It can be very intimidating. It can look like a lot of information, and it does take a long time. So if you are curious and are wanting to see if you qualify for it or it's something that you want to do, just apply as soon as possible, because it's going to take, they tell you on average 4 to 6 months for you to start receiving SSI once you've been qualified and all of that stuff. So what I wanted to do is just give you an overview of what the process was like for me. And so you can kind of have an idea what to expect when you're applying for SSI for your child. So the first thing you do is you just can go onto the socialsecurity.gov's website, and you want to look for SSI, because that's for children 18 and younger. There's something called SSDI, Social Security Disability Income, but that's for people who are 18 or over, and that's not something I'm as familiar with. That has to do with adults who are disabled. The one I'm more familiar with and the one that I've been working with is the Social Security Income, which applies to children that are under 18. So, you can go onto their website, and I think now they have an online application, which is not going to be everything that you have to do. It's mostly just to submit the fact that you would like to apply for SSI. And once you do that, they will send you a ginormous packet in the mail where they're going to want to know all the different doctors that your children have seen, all the different test results and the different information that they've been given. They want to know about if your child is going to school, and they're going to want to have all the school reports. They're going to want to have all the school evaluations. They're going to want to get all of that information. Now, don't get overwhelmed. It's not as bad as it sounds. Now, something to keep in mind is that in this day and age of technology, a lot of these systems are already connected with the government's website that when you're applying for SSI. So for example, when they wanted to get all the different school information for my kids, I told them what school that my children attended, and then they were able to go online, and they have their little permission thing saying that you give them permission to receive documents from the school. You just give them the address and the phone number and the information for the school. They send out and get the information from the school. You give them the names and addresses and phone numbers of the doctors. They go out and they get the information from the doctors. Some of them, testing agencies, things like that, they're already on their website, so it's very easy for them to get the information. So when you see all this stuff that you're supposed to fill out, mostly what you want to focus on is names, addresses, and phone numbers of all these different doctors, because then SSI can contact them to get the information from that. So you're going to get that big packet in the mail, and don't worry about filling out every single part of it, because you're not going to need to. Then after you get that information filled out, there may be a few portions that you actually need to physically mail in. But then the next thing they're going to do once they send you out the packet is they're also going to call you to set up a phone interview. Now, this or an intake interview. Sometimes they want you to physically show up at the building, but other times you have the option of being able to have a phone interview. Now, this is something that you don't necessarily find out. They usually just mail you an appointment to say show up at the Social Security office at this point, at this time, and you're going to have your interview at this day with this person. Now, I don't know about you, but trying to find a babysitter for my kids with autism, it can be difficult. And taking my kids with autism to an appointment like that with me is not awesome. So, I always ask them, is there a way that I can do this interview over the phone? Because it just makes it so much easier. And what they do is they're like, oh, sure. We'll make an appointment. We will call this phone number on this day at 10:15. And so you just sit there with your phone and you make sure that your kids are super entertained at that point in time, but then you can be at home watching them, keeping up with their routine, and you don't have to worry about showing up at the office to be there for a physical interview. So that's the next thing. So you've got the packet that you have to fill out. They have the intake interview with you. And then the next thing is hurry up and wait. Once you've done the intake interview and they've gotten the information they need, they go through and they have a bunch of different things that they need to verify. So they're doing the verification process. Sometimes they involve you in it. Sometimes they'll send you a letter saying, we cannot contact this person if you can contact them. Otherwise, your case will be decided without their information. And they try and be all scary and stuff. And, just calm down, breathe. You'll be able to get the information for them. Or, sometimes it's just a matter of giving a call to the doctor's office. They may have already mailed it in, but they just haven't gotten it in the mail yet. There's just a lot of ways and sometimes the letter gets sent out and then they receive the information like 2 days later. So don't panic when you get one of those letters, but don't ignore it either. Make sure that you're following up on it, but most of the time things are going to be fine even with that letter being sent to you. So you just kind of have to hurry up and wait after this. You've done your part. Now they're doing the verification. One of the last things that happened before my kids got approved for SSI is we were sent appointments to meet with a couple of different specialists. One was a speech therapist, did some evaluations. Another one was a child psychologist where the children were evaluated and given an IQ test, and they did an interview with me. But then it was only about 2 or 3 weeks after those evaluations were done that we were approved for SSI. So that was a good sign for us that once we got those evaluations done, then it wasn't very much longer until the SSI process was over for us. So that's kind of the way it works, and that's how it worked for me. It took about 4.5 months for us to get approved from the time that I applied to the time that we received our first payment. Now, here's a fun fact. SSI back pays you from the date that you applied. So say you apply on June 1st, and it takes 6 months for you to get approved. So you're going to get paid whatever they decide. So say it's a $600 payment. You're going to get paid $600 for June, $600 for July, $600 for August, $600 for September, $600 for October, and $600 for November, all at once. It's one big lump payment, and then it starts coming in on a monthly basis. So like I said, it took 4 months for us to get applied. So we got back paid for 4 months worth of SSI all at once. And then it started coming on a regular basis. And the upkeep with SSI really isn't too bad. We have to send in our pay stubs every month, which we're very diligent about. So that way they don't do kind of an overpayment kind of thing. Then you end up having to back pay stuff and blah, blah, blah. So as long as you keep your pay stubs in on time, then that rarely happens. So anyway, this is just kind of a heads up on how you can apply for SSI and what the process is like. I hope you find this information helpful. And as always, if you like the video, go ahead and feel free to leave a like or to subscribe to this channel. I hope you guys are having a good night. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments section. And we will catch you guys later.